90 cubic inch version of a Cummins inline 6 diesel with a pair of monstrous compound turbochargers. So you have, when we talk about compound turbocharging, because something's been around for a while, but it's really taken flight over the last several years in the world of high performance diesel engines. And what you do is you effectively stack the turbochargers in line of each other. So you have like a 100mm turbo, a massive turbo, what they call the atmosphere turbo. That's the lead one. That's what's taking the fresh air and starting to jam it into the engine. So that 100mm turbo is then force feeding a slightly smaller turbo. Maybe it's an 88 or a 90mm turbo. And what's happening this whole time is that the pressure that those turbos are creating is growing exponentially. This car will produce 150 pounds of boost pressure going down the racetrack, which is enormous. You try to put 150 PSI through a gas engine, the cylinder heads will land in Wyoming. I mean, this thing is built like an anvil. If you get a chance to go down to the pits and see John Robinson's operation, you will see one of the most unique hot rods in the known universe down there. And like I said, it is billet on top of billet on top of billet. One of the things that they have problems with in these high-speed diesels is piston failures, like you do in any sort of real ultra bleeding-edge high-performance engine. You go down, you look at this thing, even the valve cover on top of the engine is built. It actually has some pop-off valves on the valve cover, and the reason those are there is because if you lose a piston in this thing and there's 150 pounds of pressure in the cylinder, it needs to go somewhere, and if it can't only go down in through the oil pan, you will blow the oil pan open like a baked potato. So what they do with it is they actually have these pop-off valves on top of the valve cover, so when the pressure tries to escape, it'll find multiple ways out, trying to keeping the billet oil pan from being victimized by the high pressure that lives in those cylinders. It's been a long road for Robinson to get this thing where it is today. This car spent many seasons as an alter. The engine in the front, the very short wheelbase. He switched to a dragster format, and it's been smooth sailing ever since. So here it comes, folks, the diesel engine car of John Robinson on the one Cure side, and Doug Johnson from Pleasant Grove, Utah is on the right-hand side of the track. Johnson using the much more traditional single 4-barrel equipped 632 cubic inch big block Chevy engine, dialed in at 775. Note how quickly Robinson's car is dialed. 665 the dial in for Robinson. As he begins to spool up those turbos, the black smoke will begin to belch from the exhaust pipe as he begins his burnout. And if you think that's smoky, you ain't seen nothing. Pressure coming out of the backside of that thing as the smoke cloud wafts up to the seats next to the grandstand. Congratulations, you get your junior coal miner badge when that thing blows over top of you. So Robinson's going to back this thing up. The major issues Robinson's had over the years with this car is, one, trying to harness the massive amount of torque the engine makes. You're looking at an engine that makes 16 to 1800 horsepower, perhaps a little bit more than that, but the big thing it makes is torque to the order of 3,000 to 4,000 foot-pounds. In trying to get that torque harnessed and not shred transmissions and rear ends and everything else behind it has been part of the magic of getting this car to work. John Robinson looking to escape the first round here in RacingRVs.com Top Dragster. He had a lot of time to think about it sitting on the starting line. He will continue to have a lot of time thinking about it because Doug Johnson has a 1.1 second starting line advantage in terms of his dial-in. So Johnson will be basically the 60-foot block when John Robinson lets go of the button and comes hauling off the starting line in the power service diesel active dragster. People think there's no creativity in any terrain drag racing anymore. Watch this and then go tell them they're wrong.